Hello and welcome guys. Alright, so in this video we will be going over the layers window. So let's fire up the sample project that we were working on earlier. So go over to file, open sample, and again we will be using the MeetMat project. So double click on it to open it up. Okay, so before starting you should know that Substance Painter works on a layer based system. That just means we stack layers on top of each other to keep on adding details to our material. Like we can start by adding a base layer, then we add a dust or dirt layer on it, then we can add a color variation layer, and so on and so forth. It is very similar to Photoshop in that case. So there are like a lot of things and options that are there in the layers window. Like if you click over here, you will see there are a lot of options that we can go through. So obviously we won't be going over everything that the layer window has to offer right now because it will get really confusing. So we will learn everything in a bit by bit manner so that you can understand everything properly. Alright, so let's start with some of the basics. First, let's select this already added basic layer and just hit on this delete icon so that you can remove the layer. So basically we have two different types of layers. We have a fill layer and we have a paint layer. So to create a paint or a fill layer, you just need to click on any one of these icons. So this icon is for the fill layer and this one is for a paint layer. If you will click on it, you will see as soon as you do that, a fill layer 1 is added. So let me show you the main difference between the fill layer and the paint layer. Alright, so as soon as you clicked over here, a layer is added to your layer stack, but you can notice nothing happened in a model, and the reason for this is the color and everything is same as the default. So that's why nothing happened. As you can see, we are currently in the head texture set. So if I click over here and try to change the color of the layer, you can see we can easily adjust the color of the head texture set. Not only we can change the color, we can also like increase the metallic value. 1 is for completely metal and 0 is for non-metal. Also we can increase the roughness. So roughness is how much light it reflects. So 1 is for no reflection and 0 is for complete reflections. As you can see, if you hold shift and use your right click, you can rotate the light and you can see we are actually reflecting the environment light. So yeah, let's increase the roughness. And the next are normal and height, but we will go over them in a later on stage, not right now. Alright, so this was for fill layer, and let me show you what a paint layer does. I will select this fill layer and hit delete, and let's add a paint layer this time. So now you can see as soon as you added a paint layer, there are like a lot of properties over here that are related to the paint layer. If you will add the fill layer, the properties are completely different. So yeah, let's select the paint layer this time, and also I will delete the fill layer. Alright, so the main difference between a paint and a fill layer is as soon as you select the base color and you try to change the color of it, you can see nothing happens. And the reason for this is the paint layer. So what do we do with this red color or all the settings over here? So as soon as you make a change, maybe I set this to metallic, decrease the roughness, and from over here, select the paintbrush tool and try to paint over it. You can see this is the main difference between the paint layer and the fill layer. With the fill layer, you will change the color or the properties of the complete layer at once. But with the paint layer, I can paint like this. Then maybe I want to change the color to blue. And now I can paint with blue. I can change the color once again to green. Maybe I want to change some of the properties like set this to non-metallic, increase the roughness. Yeah, I can do that too. But with the fill layer, it is completely different. You can see this eye icon. You can enable or disable a layer from here. So let's disable this one. Again, I will add a fill layer and change the color to red. So you can see the complete head is of red color. If I change it to blue, then the color of the complete layer changes. So like this is the main basic difference between fill and paint layer. Obviously, we will go over this in detail in the next sections. So yeah, you can enable or disable the layers from over here. Let's delete this one, and the next thing that I want to show you is if you will click over here on this 100 number, so this is the opacity of the layer. So I think you understand it. It is pretty much as the name suggests. If you decrease the opacity, the layer will be transparent, and if you increase it to 100, the layer would still be completely visible. But you will notice as soon as I set this to 0, the layer does not completely disappear. Over here, you can clearly see that the paint strokes are over here because this opacity channel or opacity, because this opacity thing over here works connected to this drop down menu. So what is it exactly? So currently we are in the base color. So if I set this to 0, as you can see over here, we are setting the opacity 0 to the base color channel. So what I mean by that is base color only handles the color information. So if I set this to 0, the color information is 0. That's why the whole layer is black and white. But if I set this to, let's say 100 again, and I change the channel from over here to metallic, and now if I decrease this to 0, you will see the metallic properties of these paint strokes are being reduced to 0 and they are now non-metallic. If I set this to 0 and I go back to base color and I set this to 0 also, so now you can see the layer is completely disappeared. But still, if you see over here, we can see the roughness values are different. So if I go over here in the roughness channel and I decrease this to 0, so you can see the roughness is also disappeared over here. Like, it is a pretty good thing to know that this opacity thing and this drop down over here works connected to each other. So let's set them back to 100 and the metallic also to 100. Let me show you what is the use of this height thing over here. While selected this paint layer, let's set the height value to 0.5 maybe and try painting. And you can clearly see that the our paint strokes are looking as if they are elevated because of the height value we have provided. They are not like actually not elevated in real, but it is seeming as if they are elevated. If I set the height to a negative value, so it will give us an inverted effect as if our brush strokes are going inwards into our model. So yeah, it is like a really good thing to have. We can give height info to all our models using different stuff. Obviously, we are not only restricted to this paintbrush only. We can go over here in the brushes section of our shelf. Obviously, this is like a little bit out of topic for this video, but let me just quickly show you. I will change this default brush to the Dirt 2 brush, and you can see now I am painting like some kind of damage to our model. If I decrease the height to negative value, I will be doing it inwards. So yeah, it is a pretty nice thing to have, but obviously I won't go more in detail because already we are a lot of off topic for this video. So let's come back to it. I will delete this layer and set the drop down menu back to base color. And let's see. The next thing that I want to show you is if you have like multiple layers. Obviously, one more thing, if I change this color to red, you can see nothing happens because this layer is at the bottom. If you remember, the Substance Painter works on a stack based system. So if you move this to the top of the stack, then only this layer would be visible. Otherwise, any layer which is at the top would be visible. So yeah. Next thing, if you want to like group 3 layers, like these 3 layers, you want to group them into a single folder, you can select all 3 of them. And now there are 3 ways to do it. You can just hit right click and then group layers. You can see this folder is created. So that makes it a little bit convenient and organized. You can rename this folder to anything. Another way to do it would be to just select all 3 of them and then press Ctrl G like this. And the last way would be to use this icon over here. Just click on it, add group, and now select all 3 of them and drag and drop them over here. So yeah, this way you can create groups for multiple layers. Okay, so for the introductory video of the layers window, I think this much is enough. Obviously, there are a lot of things that we need to discuss more about the layers window. Like you must be wondering, what does this drop down menu do? So these are like the blending modes. If you have worked with Photoshop before, obviously you would know about them. They work in a similar way as the Photoshop ones. So yeah, we won't be going over these things or this menu right now because this section is just for the introduction of all the main windows of the Substance Painter. In the third section, we will be going over all the tools and the functionality of Substance Painter in depth. So in that section, we will be going all over these properties and everything related to the properties windows, the layers window, everything. So yeah, for now, I think this much is enough. Let's delete this folder. And before ending the lecture, I just want to quickly show you one more thing. If you will go into your sources folder and open up the Substance Painter files, and here open up this drill_final. All right, so now it is opened up. So this is another one of the models that we will be completely texturing in this course. And the reason I wanted to show you in this video is because this Substance Painter file is the completed file for this particular model. And I'm done with all the textures. So if you will see over here in the layers window, I have properly organized all the layers into proper folders. Like this plastic glossy stain is for this yellow material. If you will just disable it, wait for it to load. And you can see we have to wait a lot. So let's set the texture set to 2K so that it is a little bit more faster. Yeah, I think now it will be better. So you can enable and disable it and see this yellow one is for this bottom folder. This folder is responsible for this material over here. It is the same plastic material, but it is of black color. So I made it in a different folder. The iron material over here on the drill and on all these nuts over here. The rubber material for the grip and everything. And the height info, it is like a little bit of advanced stuff, but we can also paint all these grips and everything using our paint brushes. So yeah, that will be something to do when we will be texturing this. It's pretty cool. And all these stickers and the alphas that I used, so you can see them over here. So as I was talking, the Substance Painter works on a layer-based system. So let's dissect this particular material over here. I will disable all the layers, and you can just see how the layers work. If I enable this base, so this is pretty much just the yellow color with a little bit of reflection, nothing else. Then what I did was added a little bit of dust, as you can see, to give it a little bit of more realistic feel. I did not rename this layer. Let's name this to edges, because if you will enable this, you will see it is a little subtle, but still adds a lot to the material. On all the edges, you will see a little bit of discoloration or fading away of the color over here. Then there is some kind of color variation over our model. Then for the next layer, I will just quickly zoom it in over here, because this bumps layer is really subtle. If you will just click over here to check the layer data, it just consists of height value. And if you will enable it, I don't really see any change. Let's set the texture size to 4K. The details on this layer are really subtle, so I think we will need a bigger texture size to showcase them properly. So I will set it to 4K. Also, I don't really know if it would be visible to you in the video, but I'm pretty sure it would be visible to you in your own files. All right, so I think it is pretty visible now. If you will enable and disable it, you will see these small bumps over the surface of the texture to give more detail to our texture. Obviously, they won't be visible from far away, but as soon as you zoom in, you can clearly see all these bumps all over our plastic material. So yeah, obviously that adds a lot. And the last layer is basically a rust layer to add a little bit of more dirt and some color variation. So as you can see, how we added different layers on top of each other to create a final realistic looking material. So yeah, this is how stuff works in Substance Painter. If you want, you can dissect the rubber material, just disable everything. So this was the base, then a little bit of white overlay or white color to make it feel as if the rubber is used already. Then this is like a sharpen filter, which we will discuss later on. What are filters? This is roughness variation. So this, as you can see, adds a lot to the material. Before this, the whole roughness of the material was pretty much the same. But as soon as we added this layer, you can see it adds a lot to our material and it makes it look even more realistic. Then a little bit of edges stuff over here. As you can see, some damage, some discoloration. And the last one, some more dirt and stuff, just to make things a little bit more finalized. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to show how things work. Obviously, we will be creating this complete texture or for this model furthermore in our course. So yeah, I hope to see you there. It will be a lot of fun. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.